So I think, Simon, what I'd like to do is take this opportunity and really go through the evolution of not only the product, but perhaps our mindset as it relates to approaching this product. So, what, about 13 years ago, was it?
13 years ago.
Yeah. We were training athletes, we were dealing with general clientele, taking a lot of look at their fitness. Maybe personally, not necessarily their health, which is different for us now, but certainly their fitness. And what was striking back in the day, and I remember conversations with you a long time ago, was why are, particularly with hockey, why are certain individuals better at transitioning their training exposure off ice and having that transition on ice? And I know that you and I had several conversations about the notion of farm kids, what they do on the farm. And that was really our first glimpse at wanting to question certain things. And those questions were the genesis towards ViPR eventually. Back in the day, we had a lot of conversations on what made farm kids strong. And I think it'd be interesting to share that to the audience here from the perspective that it really is important because it's different. And particularly farm kids in hockey.
Right, and I think at that time, farm kids were sort of seen as kind of the pinnacle in terms of, what is it that sort of translated into success for them? What does the background look like in terms of how does that parlay into success at a professional sports level? Yeah. And I think that you're right. That was sort of the impetus for our question around, what is it that's unique there, and sort of can you transfer some of what that is into what we do from an off-ice perspective? What is it that farm kids do? I think it was more, sort of geared towards, what is it that we can do to improve what we do from an off-ice perspective as far as training goes. And so those were questions that I always put forward to you is, Michelle, we're doing this. What kinds of things can we do to add or augment or enhance the style of training that we're doing currently today that will allow us to improve our athletes and make them bigger, stronger, faster on the ice. So that's what we're doing.
And it's interesting because from a practicality perspective, being a high performance coach like you were and you are, being the director of high performance for elite athletics, you looked at the practicality of it with the science. I think I led with the science, right? Because that's my background. So I think the combination of that discussion, when we had that discussion, I remember thinking clearly, why is their physiology fundamentally different than, let's say, the gym kids, right? Because the gym kid, the notion of the gym kid is always to escalate load as a percent of 1RM, right? So it's, hey, can I do a repetition in a set scheme that elevates my load and approaches 1RM, because that allows me to be bigger and potentially stronger and faster. And then the farm kid, if we take a look at their tasks day to day, it's very much sub-maximal load 99% of the time. But their degrees of freedom are way more augmented. In other words, if you and I are lifting bales, hey, it's sub-maximal loads, but every repetition is different.
Well, the interesting thing about hockey players specifically was the fact that the hockey player was wiry. They weren't really sort of a physically big player like you would typically see in a football player. They were actually quite lean and wiry, but yet they possessed incredible hand strength. They had great shots. They had great center stability. So all of these things were kind of questions that kind of popped up for us in terms of how does that get augmented through training? How do we continue to add more specificity to what we're trying to do? So,
right. And I think those questions, we did get answers in time because we started with the question, which is, why are these farm kids transferring so well? We looked at in battling situations. I mean, you deal with this on a day-to-day basis. Looking at the play, players never being in an optimal position. By optimal, we mean that neutrality, that anatomical neutral, stable position.
That starting position.
They're always in odd positions, and I remember one of the comments that we both made was, in odd positions, it's very hard to take these farm kids off of the puck. And the notion of strength on the puck, whether it's battling in the corners in front of the net, that was something that was so stark to us that it begged a lot of further scrutiny and questioning, right? Because these players were noticeably different on the ice in terms of their physicality.
Very strong center position, right? And also, as you say, the ability to protect. And so, as we said, that this stuff would spawn into everyday life. So it wasn't just exclusive or mutually exclusive to hockey players specifically. It was everyone. Everyone needed these things, right? So we started looking at things from an integrated perspective, right?
Yeah.